Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I am Allincrypto, and today we are going to be talking about an altcoin that I think may be one of the stars of the next crypto bull market. We've already assessed that there has been a crypto revival, and ultimately we took a position back into the cryptocurrency markets at the start of the year. We not only got out in 2022, but we shorted many things like Luna, and many other of those crashes that took place throughout that year. So we are by no means, shape or form perma bulls. We're bullish when we see a reason to be bullish, and we're bearish when we see a reason to be bearish. We do, however, believe that crypto, blockchain, and everything that it's doing is transforming the world. And this altcoin may be at the heart of that. In fact, this altcoin is trying to facilitate probably the largest real world use case for blockchain in terms of value that there is, and it is leaps and bounds ahead of its competitors. What is that altcoin that we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen? It is the XDC altcoin, and of course the XDC network. Now, this has been an altcoin that we've been highlighting for a while. We did highlight it just before we had nearly a 3x in its price. This is a video that we made just over 2 months ago when the price was consolidating, saying that we thought XDC was going to do well. And it did pretty spectacularly since then. But I'm here today to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I do not believe that that opportunity is over. And I really want to talk more of a broader horizon with XDC and why I see it doing so well and being one of the stars. We've got many altcoins that we think are going to be stars, but one of the stars in the next bull market that we think we are fast approaching, that I actually think is largely going to be institutionally driven. We're already seeing the likes of BlackRock and all of the other major financial institutions move into the cryptocurrency space. They are all big players right now are looking at how they can utilize and implement blockchain and crypto technology. And ultimately, XDC is probably trying to solve the biggest use case of them all, and that is the tokenization of real-world assets. We have seen Larry Fink talk about his belief that this is the next evolution of markets, and we are going to be extending on the colossal nature of this use case to start the video off with a clip that was posted from Chainlink in regards to Richard Walker's thoughts from Bain & Company. And then we're going to be hearing from a former managing director of Swift talking about XDC directly at a recent XDC network conference. And then we'll go over a number of other things like market cap, where it's currently up, and everything in between. So if that sounds good, guys, please do strap yourselves in and get ready for this video.
Numbers for you: 51, 63, 30. And those numbers are in trillions. There's 50 trillion in private equity. That's, private company value. There's 160 trillion in public private debt. And there's 330 trillion in global private real estate. That's 540 trillion in assets that largely are not in the financial system. Over the past 20 years, the compound growth rate of those private assets has been roughly 4 times that of publicly traded assets. We expect growth to accelerate in private markets if they become more accessible to investors via tokenization. So it's not just a like for like of the same asset and the same market size in a digital form. This is expanding the financial system and the value of those assets. From our work, we believe that only about 77 billion has been tokenized to date. You've got a fair percentage of that, Pat and Carrie. And that 77 billion of that 540 represents about 0.01%. So it's early.
Remarkable. That's the kind of value that is out there, and the value that can be facilitated with the tokenization of assets. And like I say, XDC's not sole purpose, one of their main purposes is to tokenize real world assets. They've got quite a nice website actually compared to many of the others. XDC Network is an enterprise grade open source blockchain protocol, an EVM compatible chain with enforceable smart contracts. It is uniquely suited to revolutionize, decentralize, and liquefy. This word is very important. The trade finance industry through the tokenization of real world assets and financial instruments. This blockchain is going to be colossal, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly when you look at the use case and the kind of application that it's trying to apply to itself. There was, interestingly, a post on the UK Parliament website about XDC Trade Network. There is a PDF that I can link in the description. I did find this quite interesting. These guys already have some pretty massive partnerships. And I want to move on now to a clip of the former Swift managing director, Andre Casterman, sharing his thoughts on his time at the XDC conference.
Andre, curious, sir, understanding your background, curious to know what your perspective and thought is on the future of blockchain, specifically XDC blockchain. What are your thoughts, sir?
So I think I like the commitment since the last 3 years of the XDC community to transaction banking use cases. So working with the financial institutions to add value on the basis of the power of blockchain. Now, we discussed over the last 2 days a series of use cases whereby blockchain has real value, like indeed the tracking of electronic documents for trade finance. And that's a use case that the policymakers are embracing, and they recognize through their own developments that the blockchain is making a difference as a technical registry of documents. So we are creating basically digital assets out of trade documents representing payment obligations, like bills of exchange, promissory notes mainly, but also logistics transport documents like bills of lading. So blockchain is really making a difference here, and it's only a first use case that we can extend to additional capabilities that blockchain and smart contracts offer.
And there is more, guys. Let's go ahead and play a second clip, and then we'll tie everything together.
Where do you see the evolution and mainstream adoption of these new digital payment rails? And then let's just say by 2030.
Yeah, more and more assets are taking, or use cases and processes are taking advantage of blockchain. There were some failures over the last few years in trade finance because bankers thought blockchain could replace the internet, could be a new way to implement APIs for just data exchange. And that's just the wrong way to take it. So those initiatives have evaporated. But what I'm doing now with the same banks is getting more value out of blockchain to really do some things we can't do without blockchain. And typically, this is using the public blockchain as a technical notary to track the life cycle of original documents. That's one use case. The other use case we're focusing on is around tokenization of trade receivables, whereby we can basically make the access to the illiquid trade asset class far more far more attractive from a cost perspective for institutional and retail investors. So in that case, we are creating security token offerings, so investment products on the blockchain, but basically by using those rails, in addition to the traditional notes issuance process, we are able to make this asset class accessible to retail investors or smaller investors. So I think that's the key of blockchain is to create new markets and connect new investors to illiquid asset classes. And you're working on private equity. And with Straight Tech, for instance, we're working on private credit. And it shows that those asset classes are being opened to new investors, because they don't need 100K to start investing. They can sometimes invest as from $1,000 or $100 in some cases.
Wow, guys, there we have it. Truly amazing. Blockchain is not just revolutionizing the already existing and tokenizing the already existing sort of tradable world, whether that be bonds, derivatives in the hundreds of trillions. It's actually coming up with new and interesting ways to derivatize and tokenize and decentralize finance, and liquefy is the key word with XDC. Guys, this is a blockchain that's going to do exceptionally well. Right now, it sits at a 713 million, not billion, we're not in the billions yet, dollar market cap. In my opinion, this is going to potentially get to the tens of billions We will see. That is not financial advice, just my own personal take on it. And I do actually think the price doesn't look too bad. We would now say that this is in a stage 2 breakout, and potentially we are looking at a retest, and I may or may not be a buyer if one comes around. That's just my own personal take, guys. I would love to know your thoughts, comments, and concerns in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on XDC. Do you see it being a big role playing a big role in the tokenized world that we are moving towards? That's all I've got for you, ladies and gentlemen. All in crypto out.